This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airwaves of ESPN Radio, 250 plus markets across the United States of America, plus ESPN Radio and Sirius XM, Channel 80. It is the night. Tonight, from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, where the NBA draft, 2018 NBA draft, will be taking place. For those of you who don't know, the team, you've been living under a rock, you may not know any better or what have you, the team with the number 1 overall pick is the Phoenix Suns. The team with the number 2 overall pick is the Sacramento Kings. The team with the number 3 overall pick is the Atlanta Hawks. Number 4 is the Memphis Grizzlies. Number 5 is the Dallas Mavericks. Number 6 is the Orlando Magic. Number 7 is the Chicago Bulls. Number 8, courtesy of the Brooklyn Nets, that pick goes to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Number 9, the New York Knicks. And number 10, courtesy of the Los Angeles Lakers, the Philadelphia 76ers have the number 10th overall pick. Charlotte's at 11. The Clippers have the 12th and 13th pick in the lottery. And the Denver Nuggets complete the lottery at number 14. The consensus number 1 pick is expected to be the 7-foot, 260-pound wonder boy out of Arizona. His name is DeAndre Ayton. This is not rocket science, ladies and gentlemen. You are the moribund, pathetic Phoenix Suns franchise. You had damn well better pick Ayton, who was just up the road at Arizona, who averaged 20 and 11 on better than 61% shooting from the field, better than 34% shooting from three-point range, has the skill sets offensively to be inside with his back to the basket or step away from the basket and hit jump shots. You give him the damn pick. You pick him number 1. You pair him with Booker, and you call it a day. It's what you do. By the way, you don't move up in the draft to try to get another pick by giving away Booker to anybody. You do everything you can to hold on to Devontae Booker for dear life because the brother is special. You hold on to him for dear life. You team him with Ayton and you see what you got going on. That's what you do. But forgive me if I go all the way from the number 1 pick to the number 9th pick. Y'all gonna have to forgive me, America, because damn it, I'm a New York Knicks fan. And damn it, that's where my heart is at right now. Now, I like me some Trae Young, who averaged 28 a game in college and will shoot from the parking lot. I'm not going to compare him to Steph Curry, but I'll compare his conscience to Steph Curry. He'll pull up from anywhere. He'll fill the seats. He'll be a box office addition. But whether or not he's going to be that guy remains to be seen. I'm looking at this kid Sexton out of Alabama, who played for former Brooklyn Nets coach Avery Johnson. I love his skill set. I love his fire. I love his competitive fervor. I do not love his jump shot, nor his decision making. I have concerns. Reminds me a little bit of De'Aaron Fox coming out of Kentucky last year, who I liked a lot. And I still like. But I don't know if Sexton's the right man for the New York Knicks at number 9. But I understand it. This kid Knox out of Kentucky, I'm consistently hearing he's the sleeper. He's the guy that you got to take. Being at 6'8", 6'9", moves great without the ball and can shoot the rock, I might have to take him. He might have to be somebody I'm going to take. If I'm the New York Knicks, here's the big story about this, though. And there's just no way to avoid this. There really isn't. So let me just put it out there. New York Knicks can't mess this up. Nobody is under more pressure in this draft to get it right than the New York Knicks. And I'm going to tell you why. Philadelphia, for example. You don't get it right, you still got Embiid and Ben Simmons. Phoenix, you can't get it wrong. Sacramento, who cares about you? You got to show that you're relevant again. Atlanta, well, we already know that you guys were in rebuilding mode. Budenholzer shouldn't have even been there last year. He's gone now. Now he's the coach of Milwaukee. Got a new coach, new system with zero expectations. You can go Doncic. You can go Bagley. You can go Mo Bamba. You can go Jaren Jackson. You can go a lot of different directions if you're Atlanta. Same thing if you're Memphis. Everybody knows Fizdale wanted out of there as coach. Probably got fired on purpose. Who the hell wanted to be in Memphis? So Marc Gasol talking smack about him or whatever wasn't going to hurt Fizdale one bit. Now he's in Gotham City, New York. Right here. Coaching the Knicks. There's a guard-oriented league. Caters to perimeter players. Skilled position shooters and what have you. You're the New York Knicks. You got to get somebody that can do that for you or somebody that can facilitate others doing that for you. When I think about Kevin Knox, played 32 minutes a game at Kentucky. Shot 44.5% from the field. 34% from three-point range. Hit more than 77% of his free throws. Averaged 15 and 5. I'm looking at him, who played all 37 games. He's 6'9", 206 pounds. That's what he's listed at, even though he looks a bit heavier than that to me. I got to pay attention to that. I just do. I'm the New York Knicks. I might have to go that route. I just might have to. I really, really just might have to. Because I'm of the mindset, excuse me, I got to pay attention to this guy. This kid got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, same team as Kevin Knox, Kentucky, averaged 14 points, shot 48.5% from the field, 40% from three-point range. But nobody's projecting him to go that high, so I'm not about to either. And all of this talk about the New York Knicks moving up. Ladies and gentlemen, can we stop that? Can we stop that talk about the New York Knicks moving up? I mean, to move up, you got to have somebody. You don't listen to me. You don't want to believe me. Listen to our very own Adrian Wojnarowski. He'll tell you about it. Take it away, Cat.
I was told late last night they have not yet asked Bama's people to get his medical information. And if you were ready to invest, that's a steep price to move up that high into the draft.
9 to 4.
You're going to have to give up a lot. You're going to probably give up a future first. You're going to be digging in his medicals right now. They did talk to him yesterday, and that goes on the week of it. I think New York, in my conversations there last night, I think they're very comfortable at 9, and I think, whether it's going to be Knox, Mikal Bridges from Villanova, they feel like they can get the player they want there without having to mortgage something forward. I think it's more likely the Knicks stay where they are.
Adrian Wojnarowski was on ESPN's show Get Up this morning with Mike Greenberg and Jalen Rose and the crew. So we understand where he's coming from with that. We understand that he's talking about the New York Knicks are very comfortable. They damn well better be comfortable. I can't trust the Knicks to move up. Move up and get who? With my luck, they'll move up to target because they targeted a specific player and then the player ain't available. I can't trust that. Not even a little bit. So this is where we are. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Nick's talking about moving up. Moving up for what? By the way, what do you have to give up to move up? Porzingis is hurt. Who the hell else do you have? Who do you have if you're the New York Knicks to move up? Can we stop this nonsense? I'm moving up. Why? And if you did, how should we feel about it? Can't trust it. Can't trust anything about the New York Knicks right now. Just can't do it. You committed to $95 million in salaries. Porzingis is hurt until at least January. Joakim Noah, look, gotta get rid of that contract. Oh, $37 million over the next 2 years, $37.7 million to be exact. Over the next $37.8 million, I'm sorry. Over the next 2 years. Tim Hardaway is owed $36 million with a player option the third year. You still got Courtney Lee on the books for $25 million. You still got Lance Thomas on the books for $15 million. I mean, you're just looking at this stuff. It's like, my goodness, what do you have to offer? Even Kyle O'Quinn said he's exercising his option to become a free agent. He don't even want to be with you. Well, maybe that's a bit embellishment, but hey, gonna be a free agent. So I'm just looking at this right now. I don't want to hear anything about the Knicks moving up. New York Knicks are going to have the 9th pick. The question is, who should they get? If Trae Young and Sexton and Knox, if these folks fall to you at number 9, what direction should the New York Knicks go in? That is the $1 million question. Somewhere along the way, we should have an answer. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. That's just one of the items that we're going to get into. The rest of the draft is something else worth getting into. Because we got to look at it for what it is. And I got to tell you something. This kid, Doncic, out of Europe, Real Madrid, the second best league in the world, they say. You know, the kid can play, He's been playing against grown men since he was 16. A lot of people are high on him. Fair enough. But if you ain't the quickest dude in the world, and you ain't the most athletic dude in the world, I think you're playing at a disadvantage in today's NBA. But there is something to be said for you knowing how to play the game of basketball. I can't take that away from you, and I'm not going to try to. But when I look at Doncic, the way they talk about him, the way they have talked about him, all right, he definitely ain't getting past Dallas at number 5. But could Atlanta elect to take him at number 3? Or are they going to go with this kid, Jaren Jackson? It's a question mark. But it's something that needs to be said. It's something that needs to be asked about. Because we're trying to find out who these guys are and what they bring to the table. Just no way around it. I'm of the mindset, when I watch these guys play, I'm just looking at today's NBA game and see who fits where and who brings whatever it is that they bring to the table. That's how I'm looking at things. And I got some serious questions about what I'm seeing. I just do. Because right now, the only surefire bets appear to be DeAndre Ayton and Doncic. And by the way, when folks talk about Doncic, I had a couple of owners tell me there's several players that they put before what they're seeing in DeAndre Ayton. They've questioned his basketball know-how, his basketball IQ. I understand that. That's a reasonable question mark considering the fact that the guy hasn't been playing basketball that long. He really hasn't. And because he hasn't, what are we supposed to do with that? He's still 7'1", 260 with offensive skills that people were comparing him to Shaq coming out of LSU. I'm not passing up on that dude. I'm taking him. That harkens me back to age-old story that I tell all the time. I never forget when the Portland Trail Blazers passed up on Michael Jordan in 1984 to pick Sam Bowie. Never forget that. And in watching that, you had some folks that felt whoever was, the Jack Ramses of the world and others, God rest their souls, some of them should have been fired twice for picking Sam Bowie and passing on Michael Jordan. But they had already had Clyde Drexler. Here's my point. Have you ever heard anybody fault Houston for picking Akeem the Dream Olajuwon in the same draft? He went first. When you're that big and you have that skill, that much skill, everybody remembers you cannot be knocked for it. You cannot be knocked for it. It just is what it is. When you're that big and you've got that God-given size and ability that you can't just teach to somebody that big, you don't pass up on that person. So to me, DeAndre Ayton is bona fide number 1. Doncic makes things interesting because I'm not hearing the same thing about Marvin Bagley or about Mo Bamba. I'm hearing they can play. I'm hearing Bamba is formidable defensively and Bagley is formidable offensively. That he'll give you 20 and 10 a night. But if they don't have that it factor, that superstar quality, then do I have to go with Doncic if I'm Sacramento at number 2? These are the kind of things you have to think about. And Golden State is the reason why. Not just because you're trying to beat them, it's because they showed you how to do it in this day and age. That's why Houston came so close, because Houston was willing to emulate them. That's why Houston came so close. Houston was willing to emulate them to the best of their ability. And they almost pulled it off. If Chris Paul hadn't gone down and gotten hurt, who knows what would have happened. But the reality is they didn't pull it off. And so now you go back to the drawing board and you think about what other components you need. One of the people that might be hurt by this, potentially anyway, is Clint Capella of the Houston Rockets. Remember, he's planning on going to Phoenix to get that max offer. Well, they're about to draft DeAndre Ayton and they still have Tyson Chandler. How much do they need to give you a max offer? How much do the Phoenix Suns need to do that? I would say they don't, which means that Houston is his most viable option, where he should stay anyway, but Houston would obviously be looking for a hometown discount. All of these are things we have to think about, and then some. We all got to pay attention to this. It matters. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Another item I wanted to get into before we went to break was Adam Silver. And I'm paraphrasing here, but he was talking about the Golden State Warriors and how they should be applauded for what they do, et cetera, et cetera. But you don't want a whole bunch of Kevin Durant situations materializing, where superstars are joining superstars instead of staying in respective markets and competing against those superstars. Again, I don't have the quote from Adam Silver in front of me, but I will get it. But I'm just telling you what he basically said. Actually, we do have the sound. Let's listen to NBA Commissioner Adam Silver talk about Kevin Durant, the Golden State Warriors, and how great they truly, truly are.
I get it in terms of Kevin Durant going there. It was a bit of an aberration in our system. We had a spike in our cap. It enabled them to have additional cap room. The Warriors will tell you they would have figured out a way to get it done anyway. I don't know. But even if Kevin Durant hadn't gone to Golden State, and let's just say he'd stayed at Oklahoma City, or let's say he'd gone to another team maybe in the East, you clearly would have had a third team that would have been much better. Any team that has Kevin Durant will be. But then you still have 27 other teams. And so, you got to give Golden State their due. And I've said repeatedly, let's also celebrate excellence.
Celebrate excellence. He's applauding the Golden State Warriors. Ladies and gentlemen, we all should. Golden State did not become relevant once Kevin Durant arrived. They were relevant before he arrived. They had already won a championship, and had just gone through back-to-back appearances in the NBA Finals. Steph Curry was universally recognized as the greatest shooter in the world. The Splash Brothers were officially recognized as the greatest backcourt shooting duo maybe ever. Draymond Green was doing his thing. Golden State Warriors acquired Steph Curry in the draft, acquired Klay Thompson in the draft, acquired Draymond Green in the draft, added pieces like Iguodala and Livingston and others through free agency. The Golden State Warriors did their job. Kevin Durant is the one who messed it up, because he's one of the top 3 players on the planet Earth, and he said, I'm going to go join the team that beat me, who just finished the regular season with an all-time winning record of 73-9. That wasn't Golden State's fault. That was Kevin Durant's. But Commissioner Adam Silver said, as a league, NBA can't force parity. Listen to this.
I don't think as a league we want to go about breaking up teams just to break them up, just to force some sort of parity that is kind of unnatural. On the other hand, I can understand a system doing some different things in the system that may not have allowed a player like Kevin Durant to go to a team that was already so good.
That's what he's saying. He say, he's basically double talking right there, and I don't say that as a negative, but listen to him. He said, you don't want to force parity, but certainly you don't want to have a system that would encourage a star like Kevin Durant joining a juggernaut like that. I don't blame him one bit. I'd want the same thing. I want to see stars going up against one another. I don't want to see them joining against each other. But it also goes back to what Jim Gray, recently inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, said many years ago. It goes into all of that. He said it best. He said the Floyd Mayweathers of the world, the Rocky Marcianos of the world, or people like that had zeros attached to their names in the loss column. What's gotten lost in the shuffle is that people think that's the true personification of greatness. There were others who had lost in their careers who have been considered better than Floyd Money Mayweather. For example, the Sugar Ray Robinsons and Sugar Ray Leonards. There are great, great fighters in history who've had a loss on their record. And still, their greatness wasn't dulled or tarnished in any way. And the same thing is applicable to basketball. LeBron James has everybody thinking, you got to get to the finals and win the finals in order to be blah, blah, blah. No, he might. Because he's the one that declared he's chasing Jordan. But everybody else out there, if one year CP3 wins it, and another year Steph Curry wins it, and another year Russell Westbrook wins it, and another year Kyrie wins it, and another year it's somebody else, I got news for you. That's not bad. That's actually great. Because it has us looking forward to watching the league as opposed to a particular player or a team. I don't blame Adam Silver for wanting that. I damn sure know I do. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's always the number to call up. You're listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Ryan! I don't know how else to say this, so I'll just say it.
What is it, Linda?
I think we should see other people.
Are you breaking up with me? On a roller coaster?
Well, we do have a lot of fun. Maybe we should stay together.
An emotional roller coaster? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
I just need a little me time.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show, right here on ESPN Radio, hour number 2. Looking forward to having Seth Greenberg, our college basketball analyst extraordinaire, usually on College Game Day, basketball side with Jay Williams, Jay Billis, Reese Davis. He's doing the NBA draft for ESPN Radio tonight. We're looking forward to talking to him. Definitely looking forward to doing that. Once again, the number to call up is 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. He will be on the line with us at the top of the hour number 2 of this show. But until then, we'll get to the phones at 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Let's go to Tony. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Tony.
¿Cómo está, Stephen A?
¿Cómo está? What's up, man?
Friday
What's up?
Eve. Peace. 37 years a Knicks fan, man. And just wondering, tonight, let's say Michael Porter Jr., slips back a little bit. We got Sexton in front of us and Knox. Where would you go with that?
Where would I go with what? No, stop. I don't understand your question. You're saying that if Kevin Knox was gone, what are you asking?
No. If Kevin Knox is available, we have, let's say Porter slips back and doesn't get picked up by the Bulls. And let's say we have Sexton available at the same time. Where would you go with that? Where would you be your pick at number 9, since we're not moving on up? This ain't George and Weezy.
I would tell you this. I'm inclined to believe. I've been all over the place on this. Let me be the first to admit it. I've been all over the place on this. On one hand, I think about a gunner like Trae Young, who's going to excite the Garden, pack it up, and pull up from the parking lot because I love Steph Curry so much. I fantasize about the New York Knicks having somebody like him because I'm sick to my stomach that the New York Knicks see when Donnie Walsh and Mike D'Antoni and them boys were here in 2009. Steph Curry was going to be the Knicks pick. But Golden State had the pick right before the Knicks, and they were going to take him. And because they were going to take him, because they weren't able to take him, they ended up with Jordan Hill, and we see how that panned out. I fantasize about that from Trae Young, but I don't know if Trae Young is Steph Curry. Then I think about Sexton, whose athleticism and speed and tenacity I really, really like. But I got to tell you something. The more I think about it, this kid, Kevin Knox out of Kentucky, 6'8", average 15 a game, can shoot the three, can score, moves well without the ball, has a perimeter shot. And he's 6'8", 6'9". You know what that has me thinking about, Tony? That has me thinking about Jason Tatum and what I saw from him in Boston this year. And I'm desperate for the Knicks to get somebody like that. So I would lean towards Kevin Knox.
Yes, my brother. I feel you. But if Porter's there, would you even, if the Knicks, if we had that opportunity, would you even fathom that? Would you entertain the idea of
My
Porter
problem with Porter is that I don't know how legitimate his injuries are. Injuries aside, yes, Porter would be my guy. The problem is, supposedly you had back and hip surgery. Man, you wasn't playing in the pros when this happened. This is college. Or actually high school, because he only played 3 games in college. So if you got those kind of problems, what am I supposed to believe about you with a grueling 82-game schedule coming up? That's my question mark.
Facts, my brother. Go New York tonight. Peace to you always.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks so much. Mustafa, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm looking forward to the draft tonight. But listen, there's a lot of big men in this draft, and I'm skeptical of DeAndre Ayton. Now, DeAndre Ayton, I know he's a monster down low in the post, but the bigs today are more valued for their defense than their offense. This is not back in the day anymore. It's a guard-oriented league, and his defense is a question mark. He doesn't have someone with his size, his explosiveness, and his athletic ability.
Okay.
He's got to be able to protect the rim a lot better than what he does. You look at Anthony Davis.
Whoa. I agree with you about his defense, but look, man, you can't teach what he brings offensively. They're comparing him to Shaq and what Shaq looked like coming out of college. The dude is 7'1". He's 260. He can play with his back to the bats. He's got good footwork. He can make his own shot down low. He could finish at the basket. Plus, he could step away, and he's hit 34% of his three-pointers. And he's got a nice stroke where people believe 15 and in, the stroke is even better. I can't ignore that. I can't ignore that, Mustafa.
I understand that, brother, but it's just big men who have just some bad history with drafting. I mean, Greg Oden comes to mind, some really potential dominant big men.
That's injury related. DeAndre Ayton, injury have nothing to do with it. It's injury related. That's the issue with the big men. That's not the case with him. That's number one. Number two, here's the thing that I think no one has picked up on. The fact that we talk about how the game has evolved, Mustafa, and how so many people focus now on perimeter play. Well, guess what? Your defensive prowess ain't as important as it used to be. Because most guys are away from the basket pulling up for threes. Houston launched more than 40 a game.
Right.
So I think that's something we got to consider. But I got to run, Mustafa. I appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much. Let's go to Bombo. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Going on, Stephen A. Just to kind of piggyback on what you're just saying about the defensive prowess. But wouldn't you think that would be more important with you having to switch on the outside and him being a guy that have to guard maybe a small forward on the perimeter?
Maybe not a small forward, but I think a power forward. I think a legitimate center like DeAndre Ayton would guard 4 and 5s. I think that's what would happen. That's number one. Number two, the question is how many 4 and 5s can step away from the basket?
All right, well, the questions I have for you. Number one, I was thinking with Memphis trying to shop out this number 4 pick, if you're Boston or Memphis, would you entertain possibly trading a Jaylen Brown for that number 4 pick and possibly getting a big like maybe Mo Bamba to kind of help your depth on the back end?
Me personally, if I'm the Boston Celtics, I'm the one team in the league that ain't touching nothing. I came within 48 minutes of going to the NBA Finals with Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward hurt. Why would I touch anything? I would stand pat, let them brothers come back, and let's make another run together. Jaylen Brown only 21 years of age, man. Tatum's 19. Marcus Smart and Rozier are 23. Your senior citizen is Al Horford. I ain't touching anything. I'm leaving my team right like they are, I'm standing pat if I'm Danny Ainge in Boston.
All right, well, my last question.
Go ahead.
Los Angeles Clippers, they have the 12th and 13th pick. I mean, that team basically has all the pieces together, but they do need their superstar. If you only have 12 and 13, you're probably not going to get your superstar.
Right.
What are possibilities do you think that they should take those 2 picks, package them, and go after Michael Porter and take that flyer and potentially hope that they could get their superstar for the future?
Well, I think there's a possibility that they could do something like that. What makes you so sure Michael Porter Jr. is going to be a superstar?
I mean, of course we know his pedigree before the injury. The back can be a problem, but I just feel like the guy has all this.
All right. Bombo, let me ask you a question. How do you feel about trading 2 lottery picks, which is 12 and 13, for a guy that has a back and hip injury history? If you are the boss of the Clippers, how you feeling about that? You doing that?
I believe it's that serious. No.
I'm asking you. I know that. You ain't are you a doctor? Let me ask you that question. Are you a doctor?
No, sorry, okay, not at all.
So, all right. So since you're not a doctor, you just a basketball lover, I'm asking you right now, are you comfortable giving up those 2 picks for a guy that has a history of back and hip injury and surgery? Yes or no?
You know what? With the staff that they might have in there and his potential ceiling and looking at where LA is, I would take that chance.
Okay.
Because how many times have we had guys with?
I'm not disagreeing with you. I just wanted to know if you would be brave enough to take that chance. I am not. But I respect the fact that you are. Appreciate the call, man. Thank you. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Back with more of your calls to close out the hour on tonight's NBA draft from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, where your boy is right now. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, reminding you that at hour number 2, the great Seth Greenberg, Coach Seth Greenberg, for College Basketball Game Day, he'll be on the show with us to handicap the 2018 NBA Draft tonight, live from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Let's get back to the phones at 888-SAY-ESPN. Let's go to Trina. You're live with Stephen A. Hey, Trina, how are you?
Stephen A., what's going on? So I got an issue. So you mentioned the Adam Silver comment earlier. I think it's misdirected because KD left OKC because he wanted rings, right?
Yep.
But this whole thing was precipitated by LeBron, who left in 2010 with the big decision to go create the Super Friends with Bosh and Dwayne Wade in Miami. So it seems like this was all started by LeBron, not.
Well, it could
KD.
seem that way. Allow me to answer your question and educate you a little bit, Trina. Listen up here. LeBron goes to Miami. Had he ever played with D Wade?
No.
Had he ever played with Chris Bosh?
No.
Had he ever played with Ray Allen?
No.
Had he ever played with Mike Miller? Yeah, he did. In other words, eventually that would be the case because Mike Miller would come to Cleveland. Listen to what I'm saying to you. Kevin Durant joined a team that was just 73-9 without him. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Sean Livingston, Andre Iguodala, they were all there. He joined a ready-made engine as opposed for stars. If Kevin Durant, let's say, for example, let me give you the comparison. Rather than going to Golden State, right, Trina? Let's say Kevin Durant had decided, well, you know what, Kobe's retiring, so I'm going to go to L.A. And, oh, by the way, let me make sure I get John Wall in Washington or Chris Paul with the Clippers or somebody else, and they could come and join us, and we could all go to L.A. Isn't that different than just join and go to state?
Well, I think LeBron started this whole thing personally because I'm a proponent of. I agree with you, Stephen A.
All right, hold on. Then you got to say that first. You can't just ignore answering my question and then go into, well, LeBron started it first. You got to agree with it because it's factual. That's what happened. Go ahead.
I do think that. I mean, I'm with the old school players, so I do agree that. Back in the day, competitors wanted to play against competitors, the Kobe's of the world. Now they want to unite to chase rings.
Right.
So I think that started with LeBron. He left Cleveland to go chase
that's
rings.
fair. That's fair. That's fair. I'm just telling you that even though, theoretically speaking, you're absolutely right, from a literal perspective, there's a huge difference between unfamiliar parts joining one another, coming together and joining one another, than parts that are incredibly familiar and incredibly successful, adding one of the top 3 players on the planet Earth to their squad. It's 2 different stratospheres. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It's 2 different stratospheres. You know what is it? You know what it's almost the equivalent of, Trina? Well, I'm Aaron Rodgers. I'll join New England. That's what it's almost the equivalent of. I'm Aaron Rodgers. I'll join New England. Or I'm Aaron Rodgers and I'll join Pittsburgh. Something like that. That's all I'm saying. But I appreciate the call. Thank you, Trina. Appreciate the call. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. We'll continue talking to the NBA draft. Our very own Seth Greenberg is coming up next. Plus, I'll get into a little NFL talk as well, because Malcolm Jenkins had something to say about these national anthem protests, about President Trump, about some of these NFL players and the positions that they're taking. All that and more. Hour number 2 with Stephen A. up next.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.